That's always, yeah.
All right, so let's get to our main topic. You could call this another one of our gripes. The Dolphins managed to win against the Steelers on Sunday night, 16-10. Dolphins came up with 13 points in the first quarter. They came out guns blazing. Looked like, first three drives, they come up with points on each one of them. Looked like, they were going to roll over this team. And they had to hang on. They only scored 3 points in the second half, and they had to hang on to win. And honestly, if the Steelers could catch all the interceptions that Tua threw them, we might be having a different discussion today.
Well, look, here's how you could look at it. The Dolphins won the game, but not for lack of trying. Not for lack of trying to lose. I mean, good God. It's like, come on, we're trying to let you win. Why can't you win?
Yeah, they tried to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory.
Yes, exactly. It was very Detroit Lions, Cleveland Browns, type of thing. It just didn't, Pittsburgh couldn't catch the damn interceptions. Which, by the way, let me point out. So Tua on the year has 10 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. He should probably have like 8 interceptions. I mean, just in that game alone, they probably should have caught 1 or 2 of those. And then in the Patriots game, he threw a couple that they didn't catch. So, I mean, it's...
Yeah, he had at least 4 passes that hit Steelers' hands directly.
Yeah. So, and he had some other ones where I was like, are you sure you should be throwing the ball there? But, it's one of those... I mean, there's so many different things to get to with this.
So what's your take on the game first? Just the game itself.
The game. Okay, the game. So I guess one of my main gripes about the game, just in terms of the Dolphins trying to win the game, they're up 16-10, right? Yeah, they were up 16-10, and they were driving. They had the ball deep in Pittsburgh territory, like inside the 20. They get a 4th and 3. They don't kick the field goal. Now, we've been harping on this for, like 2 years now. But in that situation, you're up 16-10. Your offense has not been doing very much they didn't do anything in the third quarter, really. Your offense really hasn't been doing much. You're ahead by 1 score. A field goal makes it 2 scores. Pittsburgh's offense, they got a rookie quarterback. They're not looking that good. Your defense is playing pretty well. Just kick the damn field. What are you doing? Just kick the field goal. And instead, because you didn't kick the field goal, that last drive where Pittsburgh had the ball, you're sweating because they could win the game. So that, in terms of anything else from the game, I mean, it just seems to be the Dolphins have gotten into this pattern where I can kind of tell early in the game if it's going to be a game where the Dolphins have a chance to win. The Dolphins get out to a lead, the defense plays well, Tua has a few drives, mostly their field goals, and then they just hang on at the end. And they're playing a bad team with a bad quarterback, and that's basically most of you look at the last 3 years, usually that's when Tua's been playing the last, the last 3 years when Tua's been playing, that's how they win games for the most part.
Right.
The Ravens game earlier this year, that's the outlier. That doesn't happen. That may never happen again. Okay? This is kind of how they win, and just as a fan of the team, this is not encouraging. Okay? This is not, I'm hearing Colin Cowherd being bullish on the Dolphins, and I'm like, why? You could be bullish on the Jets. The Jets have talent on their roster on both sides of the ball, and they just beat the Dolphins. Hell, the Patriots, I still have questions about their offense, but their defense is obviously well coached because Belichick's a really good coach, and maybe they're just kind of figuring stuff out and they're managing things the right way to win games. So, but none of those teams I'm like, oh, they could win the Super Bowl or they could win multiple playoff games. No, not at all. Not there's no way in hell you're going to win in the playoffs like that.
Yeah. I think it concerns me that the offense seems to be able to do a couple of things. They basically like Colin Cowherd was saying, they come out with the scripted plays, right? And they look really good. And he's completing all these short passes in the middle of the field. They ran the ball, and, they run the ball pretty well.
Yeah.
They're running the ball about, it's over 4 yards a carry. But in order to, sustain offense when they go through those tough times where they're having trouble completing passes, they got to get that running up to about 4.8 to 5 yards a carry. Because if they can do that, then they can sustain these drives, because these drives sputter out because they throw he throws a 4-yard pass to the running back drops it. Now you're behind the down again. And and they can't catch up to it, and it's really hard. I just think my overall take is it's really hard to consistently drive the ball down the field like that with 9, 10, 12 play drives where you're just continuing to complete these passes. And this is my main criticism of and I'm done criticizing Tua. Like, at this point, I think we see what he is. So I'm not gonna bother criticizing the quarterback. I think we've got to figure out some way, because in the second half, the Steelers basically took away the middle of the field. Once they kind of did that, there was no adjustment to that. Like, you've got to be able to throw the ball outside the numbers to a certain extent. You don't have to be great at it, but you've got to be able to throw the ball to the sidelines, to be able to, make the Steelers defend the whole field.
Or you've got to have something like, for instance, Baltimore, their offense hasn't necessarily looked great in some of their games this year, but you can run the ball, and then you've got Lamar Jackson can run it. And, he throws a lot of stuff over the middle of the field, and he's not necessarily the best outside the numbers. He's, I guess, gotten better, but you've got enough where you can kind of make up for it. The Dolphins just, you can't be scoring 16 points a game and expect to win a lot of games,
right.
And also, look, McDaniel's a younger coach, and these younger coaches they don't seem to like to kick field goals, and you're putting your team in a bad spot. Like, you need as many points as you can get, because they're not very easy to come by. So right. No, you can't, like, here's the other thing that I was thinking about this today. Like, okay, that 4th and 3, if you convert that, you didn't get a touchdown. Okay? If it's 4th and goal from the 2, I'm almost a little more understanding of going for it, because if you get it, you can score a touchdown probably. Or, well, right. It's 4th and goal from the 2. Like, yeah, if you get that, you're going to score a touchdown. That's points. Okay? I'm less understanding about it, especially when a field goal puts you up 2 scores, and it's converting that 4th down is not going to get you anything.
Yeah, and what really makes no sense is, so it's like 3rd and 3 or whatever, right? They run the ball, quick run to the right side, and then they hurry up to the line to run basically the same running play to the left side, and they both get stopped. My criticism of it is, first of all, on 3rd down, throw the ball to try to get the first down. Like, number one, do whatever you have to do to get the first down. If you don't get it, and then you think about going, and if you're really going to go for it there, then be aggressive. Don't just run a play into the line. Like, try to score a touchdown then, if that's what you're going to do. Like, right. I don't like, it's like shit or get off the pot, Either kick the field goal or try really hard to get the first down, or be aggressive and try to throw the ball. Like, so that's my criticism. If you're gonna do that, then have a better play ready to go before you do that. And so this is my getting, they won the game. So listen, all right, we can only complain so much, but this is what concerns me about McDaniel is this guy just a really good coordinator and doesn't know how to manage games correctly? Because the last 2 weeks, the games have not been managed well.
Yeah.
And this is what worries me. Not kicking field goals, not being smart with possession and time, and, punting when it's appropriate. And, you're asking for trouble. You're asking to lose games when you manage things this way. And you can see it's not – the funny part is, like, is anyone watching the tape of other teams? Because it's not working. It's not working for Doug Peterson in Jacksonville. It's not working for Brandon Staley with the Los Angeles Chargers. It's not working for anyone. The guys who are winning are Belichick, who kicks field goals, right? Andy Reid, who kicks field goals. Like, the guys who are...
Shanahan kicks field goals.
Kyle Shanahan kicks field goals. Like, the guys that are winning, that's what they're doing. So it blows me away that we're able to get away with this. And I swear to God, this is one of the main problems with the Dolphins is our owner's out to lunch, so no one's calling McDaniel on this stuff. Like, I was listening to Mike Lombardi, and he just, by the way, Mike Lombardi opened his podcast with ripping Mike McDaniel for that not kicking the field goal.
Okay.
He absolutely went off on him. He was like, you think if Al Davis owned the Dolphins, he would ever let the coach get away with that?
Yeah.
And he's right. Like, you got to.
That almost cost them the game. And that's the other thing. When people, and we were talking about this in the last podcast or the one before that, someone on the Ringer, Ben Zolak or something, was talking about this. And it's like, the reason that we're harping on this is because these decisions can cause you to lose games. Now, you escaped this one, but I mean, dude, you could have very easily lost the game simply because you didn't just kick the damn field goal.
Right, just like the Chargers against the Browns last week or 2 weeks ago. Like, and by the way, you lose these games, you don't make the playoffs, people get fired. This isn't like we're not just these aren't well, it's not that big a deal. No, it's a gigantic deal. And they even said on the broadcast, Collinsworth said it's 51%. You're better. You'll win. You have a better chance to win if you kick the field goal than not. And it was by 2%. And he made a good point. All of these analytical decisions, they're a coin flip. Like, so why don't you just take the higher percentage play then? Why don't you just take the field goal and see what happens? You're up 9 in the fourth quarter. You win the game like 80 or 90% of the time when you have a lead, like a 2-score lead in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, so, I just find it hilarious that it's almost like, okay, when we would play like Madden or these other, or Tecmo Super Bowl or something, we would constantly go for it on fourth down, but who cares? It's a fucking video game. Okay. Right. When did that sort of logic sort of overtake the NFL, and now people are like, oh, we should go for it? It's just like, well, no, sometimes you should just kick the damn field goal. Yeah,
we'll talk about this more with the other NFL games because coaches made tremendous blunders with all that shit yesterday.
The other thing I wanted to point out about the Dolphins was, Colin Cowherd seems to be bullish on the Dolphins, which, fine, I guess you got to pick some teams that you think are going to
he thinks they're going to make the playoffs. Like, I understand that.
Fine. But, he's talking about, well, they have Xavier Howard's a really good cornerback, right? Their defense seems to be playing pretty well. They've got a bunch of weapons on offense, running backs, receivers, right? And with all of that, and Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill are racking up yards, it's like, okay, fine. You're doing all that, and you're scoring basically 16 points a game.
Right.
Like, this is what you're playing a rookie quarterback at home, and you score 16 points. I mean, 1 touchdown. I mean, like, so it's like, oh, well, they've done all these things right. It doesn't fucking matter if you don't have an elite quarter, because an elite quarterback with this roster, they'd be scoring 30 points a game. Okay, I'm sorry, they would be scoring 30 points a game. So it's just like, look, you can say the Dolphins are going to make the playoffs. They play the Lions next. That's a winnable game. They have some other winnable games on the schedule. They could still potentially get to 10 wins. But, do I see a next level for this team? No. There's a clear ceiling, and that's it. I don't see anything above that. So.
Yeah, I mean it's a problem, and they're playing they're playing at the Detroit Lions next week. The Detroit Lions have one of the worst defenses in the NFL. If they can't get 28 points next week, then I don't even know where we go from here.
And not to harp on Tua, but yeah, you've made the point that's perfect. I mean, basically we've talked about Tua plenty. We know what he is now. I was out on Tua at the end of last year, and look, I praised him after the Ravens game because I thought he made some good throws, he made some plays, but basically this is kind of what he is, guys. And some of it I think is because he's not that tall, so he can't see over the line sometimes. So he has to kind of go with his pre-snap stuff, and also his arm's not that strong. I mean, he threw it. Like, there was a pass he threw to Tyreek Hill last night, and I'm like, if he has a stronger arm, the ball's thrown into the end zone, and that's a touchdown. But because he can't throw it that far, the ball just dies on him. So it's like, there's just some things that he can't overcome.
Yeah, I wanted to mention that. I think he's got to change his trajectory on his deep ball. I think he's throwing it too flat. He's got to get more air under it, kind of like Russell Wilson does, where he can drop it in there. He's got to throw it higher with more air under it. He's trying to throw it flat, kind of like Joe Burrow does. right?
Right.
Where it's on and he's not really designed to do that. But he can still make these throws, though, because he anticipates it well enough. He can still do it. He's got to adapt to make it work for him. But regardless, that's a whole other thing. But I was watching something. I was watching YouTube. They were doing a breakdown of Jimmy Garoppolo. And, they're showing San Francisco's offense, and they're showing how every throw from Jimmy Garoppolo is in the middle of the field. It's in between the numbers. It's all, and anytime a defense basically tries to take that away, he struggles. That's where you see these throws where there's a defender right on the guy and he can't get it to him. So they try to adjust and get him to throw, outside the numbers a little bit, but he's still not good at it. So Shanahan has basically set up the entire offense so that Garoppolo can make all those throws that he's pretty good at. And so I saw that, and then I'm watching the game last night, right? So you look at it, right? San Francisco has Trent Williams as their left tackle. The Dolphins have Teron Armstead, right? The Dolphins have one of the running backs that San Francisco used to have, right? They have Mostert, who used to play for them, right? All the runs are outside zone. They're between the tackle and the guard on either side. That's basically what they do over and over and over again, right? He's got now the playmakers are right. They have Deebo Samuel in San Francisco. We have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, and they're basically catching these in routes where they're catching the ball and then trying to run after it, right? So it's the same offense, right? So Tua basically has the same, he's Jimmy Garoppolo. He has the same limitations. I don't know why I didn't make this connection before. We were always like, well, can he just be Jimmy Garoppolo? No, he is. All the throws are in the middle of the field. He's throwing the same routes that Jimmy Garoppolo throws. It's the same thing. The only problem is Tua is a little bit shorter, so some of them are a little more difficult. But it's the same type of stuff, and then teams start to clamp down and take it away, and then he struggles. So, I don't know what I'm watching it going, they've got to, and the problem is I've been complaining about this for 2 years now. If you don't threaten the defense in all the areas of the field, not just throwing the ball deep, but if you don't threaten them in all the areas of the field, then they're just going to focus on the one area, and teams are going to start taking this away. It's working now in the first quarter on the first drive. I don't think that's going to continue. One of these teams that's smart, has a smart coach that knows what they're doing, is going to start clamping down on this, and what are we going to do then? So that's why I'm really big on they've got to run the ball better, because that's the difference. That's the difference between San Francisco and Miami, number one. They run the ball better, number one. Number two, San Francisco's defense, when everybody's healthy, and everybody's banged up right now, but when they're healthy, they can be dominant. The Dolphins' defense is good, but it's not,
they're not dominant like
it's
that.
It's not dominant.
The only guy who's an elite pass rusher,
right,
or something like that can really disrupt the other team's offense.
Right. The only guy that's elite is Xavier Howard.
Yeah,
he's great, and the problem with him is they just stop throwing the ball to whoever he's covering. So, so he's great, but the problem is there's only so much he can do. And I was reading some statistics without blitzing, they're not very good at getting pressure on the quarterback. And even when they blitz, they don't get as many sacks as they should. They're 10th in the NFL in blitzing. They're only 24th in sacks. So even when they, and last night they really couldn't blitz as much because they didn't have their secondaries all banged up. They only had Xavier Howard, and it was a bunch of third, fourth string guys out there. So I think it's tough. It's tough because I do feel like there are places that this can go, but now it's on the coach. This is not on. I don't think it's on the quarterback anymore. I think this is on McDaniel. You got to manage the team better, number one, and you've got to start. I don't want to say get out there and throw the ball deep, but you got to be able to throw it to this. You got to throw sideline routes. You got to make defenses, change what they do. If you're just going to allow them to do this, we're going to be in trouble.
Well,